Hey, I'm Michelle from the Soul Translator and the Empowered Empath Soul Camp. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about four pretty judgmental, shall we say, approaches towards being an empath, both of what we do to ourselves and also what we receive from others. And speaking of, I have added the link below for the Empowered Empath Soul Camp, which is open for registration now, starting on February 2nd. That's when the live course begins. It's a 4-week course. And the early bird is open for registration. It is open until the 18th of January. We'd love to have you join in this extremely empowering self-growth, spiritual growth, energetic growth program. So please do check out the link below, or you can check out the empoweredempathsoulcamp.com. And then backslash, I always say backsplash for some reason, join now. All right, so let's get into the topic at hand. Today we're going to be talking about, as I mentioned, these 4 judgments that often many empaths and sensitives deal with. And this is coming off freshly from some criticism and, the whole haters, shall we say, which I really don't like that word. But, let's face it, we do live in, because of social media, we live in a highly, a potential for a highly critical world. I say potential because we always have a choice about whether we're going to start putting our opinions and perspectives all over somebody else, whether it's been invited or not. And this is something we all need to be careful of, and also not take what other people, when they do start hating on us and start dissing us, not to take them too seriously, which is a challenge for most people. And it is particularly can be a challenge for those who are sensitive or empaths, because it's such a natural part of who we are is our connection to others. So let's talk about this first one, because I recently did get something from a couple different places and have been hearing this and seeing this, and it just really, quite frankly, pisses me off when I see it. This idea about empaths thinking that they're really special, that oh, you're not really special. In fact, somebody has said on this channel that empaths and people like me, people like us, don't even exist. I'm going to totally challenge this one, and to the people who have told me this is not a personal thing against you, even though what you had said was personal against me, because it was, saying that somebody is not who they are is just not really your place to say. And I'm going at this with a encouragement and calling the battle cry to empaths and sensitives to actually start to embrace more and more and really let yourself feel special. Now, this is not about feeling better than anybody else. The reason why I say this is because empaths have spent most of their life, and sensitives and intuitives and many people who are less mainstream and more sensitive to emotions and energies, we've spent our lives actually feeling like there was nothing really that special about us, and that in fact our abilities make us kind of, the oddball. Or the fringe person. So this idea of, as an empath, really actually embracing your specialness, embracing your gifts as a special part of you, and yes, they're unique to you, is really healthy, is really, really healthy. So when all these other people come around and say, oh, what is this thing about empaths and sensitives saying that they're so unique and so special? Yeah, you are. And yes, everybody is in their own right. But I really feel adamant about making sure that we don't continue to support this dissing that other people are doing to us, that we have been doing to ourselves a lot, because our gifts and abilities and perceptions have not necessarily been valued, and we haven't been valuing them ourselves, many of us. That's the reason why we have some of the challenges and problems of being in the world as sensitives, is because we feel like, what about all the insensitivity that's going on? So that's the first point, is sensitives actually are special, and why can't we just let people be special for who they are? And also saying that you're special, appreciating the specialness of your abilities and your perceptions and your gifts as an empath and as a sensitive, is not making you arrogant, or not making you feel like you're better than anybody else. Which leads to the second one. I have heard this and seen this in groups and on Facebook. This whole idea that somehow empaths think that they're above others because they have these deep and mysterious and sometimes, extremely mystically aligned, and even kind of spooky for some people. I see dead people, all those kind of stuff. I feel dead people. All of that stuff, that somehow empaths and sensitives are above others because we have sixth and seventh and eighth senses, and so on and so forth. This is another one of those things where I feel like it's bullying on somebody's uniqueness. And believe me, most empaths and sensitives, and if you are one watching this, you probably are like, yeah, God, if only I could think more that I was, kind of mattered more. We actually often come from a place, of less self-esteem. And I don't mean that we don't have good self-esteem, but I mean that it's very counterintuitive to us to think that we're better than anybody else, because there's a sense and sensibility to really seeing the uniqueness of each person, and we feel that. And so we're not really in the business of doing a lot of comparison and judgment on who is a better person and who is not. So to put ourselves in that place that says, oh, well, we're above others, is really, quite frankly, a crock of bullshit. So please, let's get rid of that whole mentality. Okay, so the next one is that sensitives are not grounded in reality. And all of you who are sensitive empaths right now, you're just kind of like, oh, sometimes I'm too grounded in reality. Sometimes all of this stuff is way too real, or way too much of a reality. And that's one of the reasons why we want to be more insensitive. That's why we want to dissociate. That's why we isolate. That's why we don't want to feel things so much. So yes, there can be other experiences that empaths and sensitives have that make them almost like otherworldly, or all of the different things of ascension, and all the different things of indigos and blue rays. These are, and I'm not going to go into what those are. But yes, there can be people who identify themselves as being starseeds and not feeling like they are of this earth. That does not mean that they're not grounded in the reality of this earth. And in fact, particularly for earth empaths and those who are more like the geo and environmental and atmospheric empaths, are incredibly intimately connected with this grounded reality because they feel it. So that's another one that we need to, this myth that we need to debunk, that says that we aren't grounded in reality, because reality is relative, right? There is a consensual reality that we all say, oh, the sky's blue and grass is green and so on and so forth. But that's not true for people who are colorblind, right? So being able to tune in and feel and sense other people's energies and emotions, and to have these different levels of intuitive abilities, does not make somebody any less grounded in reality. In fact, it can sometimes make us more grounded in reality. All right, so let's get on to the last one, which is connected to this one, which is empaths can't function in the real world. Now, I'm going to give a little bit more room to say that this is actually kind of true on some levels. It's not that we can't function in the real world, because many of us do, and very competently and very successfully. And that idea can be true for some of us who aren't taking care of ourselves, who are really, who think that it is part of the empath curse or the sensitive, being such a sensitive soul that we're here to just take on everybody else's crap, or we're here to forget about ourselves and be completely in selfless service to the emotions and energies around all of us, and it's really not about us, which is really, really, really not true. We've been given these abilities, these extrasensory abilities for connection, for perception, for healing, for being able to attune to the world and the people around us, so that we can help, and so we can support, and so that we can be aware and help others tune in and become aware of whatever needs to be known. So yeah, there is a bit of this, of that we can't function in the real world when we are out of balance, but that's like anybody, right? If you are energetically spent, if you are depleted, if you are, taking on toxic energies and not doing things to take care of yourself, and it's also a very loud world, not just on, not just in the ears, but it is energetically a very loud world. And that can sometimes be very overwhelming for most people. And then if you take empathic abilities and sensitivities and you add that on top of it, it can get noisy in here. It can get energetically charged in here. So this one can be true sometimes, but it can be true for those who are out of balance, and that is true for anybody's gifts and abilities or passions or things that they are good at that they're not doing in the world. If you're an incredible artist and you're not being creative, you may not be fitting into functioning in the real world because you're not matched to your passions and your abilities. Right? So this is true for anybody. So part of my mission is to really honor and really, really honor empaths and sensitives and who we are and what we can offer to ourselves through our perceptions and sensitivities, and the richness and the health and the wealth that we can have in our lives, and that then we can also help others. Because we've been given these extrasensory and extra emotion, extra energy, perception gifts for a reason. And yes, they are gifts. And I say that with pride. That does not mean that I'm thinking I'm extra special or better than anybody else. It just means this is who I am and this is what I can do. And there's a purpose for it. Just like there's a purpose for somebody who is a brilliant mathematician, or somebody like Einstein. Who was one of the greatest heroes around the necessity for creativity and empathy. All right, so those are the 4 points that I feel are really important. Just a quick recap. First, the sensitives actually are special, and so is everybody else. So let's stop saying people aren't special. Empaths think that they're above others. No, we don't. And in fact, I encourage us to think more that we are really special and that we matter. No one is above anybody else. But some of us can start to put ourselves into a level playing field with others instead of feeling like, oh, blah, 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 you know what I'm saying? All right. So then the other one is sensitives are not grounded in reality. Not true. So not true. We're grounded in a lot of different realities and reality itself. And reality is relative anyway. So what does that mean anyway, right? Grounded in reality. It's all relative. And then the other one is not being able to function in the world we can function very well in the world. It's a challenging world right now for many people to function in any way, whether you're an empath or not. So how about we appreciate our uniqueness and connect to the heart and mind and soul and love of everyone, and bring the vibration and bring the connection and the humanity up, so that we can all function really well in the real world and create a really, really great world. All right. So my name again is Michelle Anita Huerta, and do check out the Empowered Empath Soul Camp. It is open for enrollment until February 2nd, and the early bird is until the 18th. So please do check us out there, and we'd love to have you, and take really great care. I'll talk to you later. Bye.